What's good, YouTube? And welcome to me being driven just a little bit insane by the community discussion on Stampede. I think this is a banger of a set. Multiple $100 meta reprints. You also have so many collectible cards, and then you have casual cards and past format. It does what Rarity Collection does oh so well, but people are griping about filler and what cards were missing, and I get it's a goodbye to quarter century secret rare. I had cards I wished were in this rarity, like they gave Chaos Sorcerer a huge OTS banner alongside Chaos Imp as well as BLS. I was like, finally, the bridesmaid becomes the bride, but it can't get a quarter century secret rare and other nice rarities. I get complaining about what you wished was in there, but people are using it to say this is the worst entry to Rarity Collection. This is way better than Rarity 2. I do not think this is a stinker at all, but we'll have to wait to see how it pans out. So let's talk about what's in it, what's not. Creator Reveals gave us everything, and Fulos would very much be a $100 card without the reprint. Like, look at the actual 6-month graph. It was really up there. Then you had banlist fears and that kind of stuff. Will they actually hit the Mulcharmies? Oh no, they didn't. It starts coming right up, and then it got its reprint announcement and came crashing on down. But people took that eating good early, praised the set, praised the fast reprint, because yeah, we haven't seen something like this in a long time for a hot card, right? But then Fiendsmith Engraver is similar. After banless fear subsided on it, it became a $100 card again and quickly came back down due to WCQ banless fears. If this did not have a reprint, it would be skyrocketing back up right now, just as Fiendsmith Track, which missed the set, is. And that's another complaint people have, that they didn't get the whole package, so this is going to just go value over there. We have one more reprint set before the WCQ, which is already amazing. Battles of Legend, and it covers certain cards that I think people are complaining about, but we'll have to wait and see for specifics. We don't know what's in the set, so it leaves uncertainty and areas for this discussion, but I think it's unfair to really pick apart stuff like this without necessarily seeing what's inside the next reprint set that debuts before the WCQ. I also think that you have Bestials and Kashtira missing. I'll agree, I think they should have been in there, and it would have made it a 10 out of 10 banger instead of a 9.5 for me. This would have been next level. I think that a lot of these could get reprinted in Battles of Legend as well, because Lubellion's QCR was over there, so maybe Konami has this brain of, oh, it did so well, let's do a couple more this way. I wouldn't blame Konami if they necessarily did, because it is a vanity rarity, but I would like more easy access versions, so I hope they end up with a reprint slot and Starlight, because they are headed back to Starlights with this set. And it would have been nice to have matching rarities with the Lubellion too. So I do understand that these are more iconic meta engines. However, them missing doesn't ruin the set. It doesn't tear it apart just because Konami didn't include these specific cards. There's so much good eating already, and back in my day, multiple $100 reprints usually got celebrated instead of just glossed over because of what's missing that already has some reprints that are not the worst in the world, but are coming back up in price. Dragon Master Magia, I don't really get to consider this a win for Konami because it's a problem they created themselves. Reprinting this early, nice, good for you, but this being a quote-unquote $1,000 card with its only access version is something they created a problem of and needed to fix. So I'm glad Blue Eyes players get access to this if they want it. It's more of a win more card for them. It's not necessarily needed, but it's nice that they now all have access to this card, and that is exciting for people's collections as well. This will retain some value as the highest rarity version and not a mid-max, but when it comes down to it, the reprint was something that should have had its versions within Battles of Legend to begin with, instead of this huge hype beast card. So I'm with people on there that this doesn't enter the discussion of how good the set is, because that's Konami's fault, right? Now, this is another self-Konami created problem, but not as bad, but they shorted a lot of these printings for a dusted gold, so they came back up. We now get a max rarity hero version on top of it, though, which is nice to see. I'm going to have a bit of a hot take here, I suppose, versus the Twitter community. alter art selling sets is a good thing, especially when the OG art has an easy access version. Just because you like the new art doesn't mean you just get it in hand. It can be used to sell a set, and if they have the pull with cards that are not mainstay tournament cards right now in order to sell sets, and it makes the estimated value pull of current meta cards, past format cards, and other things available on an easier level, that is excellent in my book, and I think it's a great thing. Yes, I want the Dogmatica lore cards. I actually have a list of cards I'll talk about that I think are good for the set outside of just past formats that will be good long term. But when it comes to stuff like this in the discussion, I think this is the perfect way to actually get sets. You know how they wasted alter arts before? Oh, this is in gold rare only. Why is my red eyes only gold rare? Those were legitimate complaints to a degree. It was nice to have easy access versions, but people didn't like where they debuted. Or they debuted only in ultra rare. Where's my secret? Where's my high rarity? Now that they're only high rarity, people want the low rarity. There's no pleasing everybody, it turns out. But I think this is an excellent way to sell sets. I think it's what they should be doing with alter arts. Use it as a vanity rarity, and we've also seen them instantly just cash in within a year to two on other alter arts, meaning you'll likely get another chance at a lot of these later, but we'll have to wait and see on that too. But they have not been shy about reprinting most of their alter arts over time. Also, Ghost Ogre's OG art gets in here, so they're willing to reprint cards that had QCR, but in their other arts, they're continuing that theme, and I honestly think it's good the OG art gets in there. Ash Blossom, I believe, also comes in. Dinosaurs got huge support, a fan favorite outside of everything, but the number one Twitter complaint that I'm not seeing really celebrated is that they're not pendulum phobic for once. They are actually printing so many pendulum cards in here along with Electromite. It's really crazy, and that's what they were hating about sets is, wow, they're excluding pendulums. Konami doesn't want pendulums to be good. Konami doesn't want to help pendulums or look at them or have people think about them, and they're included in here. It's awesome. So here's actually a bit of a list I drafted up about what I like off the set, off the rip, without even considering all that much past format play. But for future potential and collectability, I like a lot of the alter arts like Dark Magician Girl, Blue Eyes, Red Eyes. Veiler, I think, is excellent. Galaxy Eyes, they always find a way to have Galaxy Eyes, just like Blue Eyes, included in the gameplay of the deck, it feels like. The max rarity Mermails will be great, and they're playable right now. You have the Ghost Ogre, we already mentioned, the dinosaur stuff like Miscellaneous Sources, well, Overraptor was included. You have Dangers, which I do think Tsuchinoko can be relevant once again, depending on the deck down the road. You have the Albaz and Ecclesia altar, Live Twin, Evil Twin altar. You have the Lady Labyrinth. You have Diabellstar. All these modern cards included along with anime classics. It didn't just lean one way, which is what usually gets people upset. Now, can these be far more exclusive and harder to pull depending on which one? Yes, absolutely. They become chases of the set though and add value in that way. And I think that is awesome, honestly. I think it's a good thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole when you can still access these cards another way cheaper and these become chases. I think that's great for the game. The Dark Magicians for the casuals is great, so is Dragon Master Magia, but again, I don't really think that's a great point when Konami made the problem. Big Eye and Giant Hand for not only number hunting, but being super relevant, even coming back into the game recently for Giant Hand, but this being a prize card in history and getting a QCR is pretty nice. You have Hayate, Zeus altars. Splash Mage is a huge one for me. I love Splash Mage. I used it in so many decks, and it's not just personalized. This pops up whenever we do see most Cyverse relevant. Electromite, we already mentioned, and the Arcana Dark Magician, yes, that was a huge one for me. These are ones I just kind of like, depending on how the stuff turns out. Ether, Erebus, Pantheism, but I know a lot of pros actually used to like to play this past format just because it was grindy, long games, though, not because the format was all that fun. In fact, they would even say the game's figured out very early with these, and you basically have to have a mistake or terrible luck. Apprentice Magician is pretty nice. Alter Art Raid depending on area, the rarities, which people are saying it is somewhat hard to get. Nibiru, Alter Art, I think the rock is more iconic and I don't love the new art, but a lot of people do like this art. So I included it. I don't try to include bias in these. I try to actually systematically break it down. So even if I don't like something, I am going to include it when it has that perception. Aluber is great to see in here. Astral Karibo is actually big because this is a card that kept seeing buyouts and fake hype into it, or even a little bit of real hype and results at times. Memento Ange, which is nice to see the Memento stuff in here. Engraver and Fulos are big wins in my opinion. I really should have had them up there instead of kind of like, it's more like, this is a for myself list I was building before the topic even came up. These are cards that I would like to get myself over time when they're at their cheapest, more so than I just kind of like them being in the set. And then you have the Ultra Art Chaos Max. I don't love the art all that much on that one. Typhon is nice to see in here. Access code Ultra Art. And then for my personal likes, like I started to build these but I haven't got through, they're more biased. These are ones that I might like that others wouldn't, such as Alistair's Altar Art or El Shadol Winda and Construct getting high rarities. There's so much in here that isn't just fluff and filler. It's more about your personal preference towards them versus them actually being pieces of Yu-Gi-Oh! History, like Seer, Skarm, Graph. Those are iconic to Yu-Gi-Oh! And DUEA format gets talked about, but it's that's popular right now. They could come back into popularity as a past format play at some point, but BA is very grindy, which is maybe why it doesn't take off, right? I think that they're still a piece of Yu-Gi-Oh! History, and I don't consider that filler. I consider that them going down the Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta history alongside anime love for both casual sides to end up picking up and getting something nicer for themselves. I'm going to say that this set, again, 9.5 out of 10 for me. I think it's a really good entry in a rarity collection. It's a banger of a set, and people are acting spoiled on their takes. The two fair ones to point out missing are Kashtira and Bestial. I think these were no-brainers, but maybe Konami has other plans for them. That's the only thing I can surmise on them missing, unless they want them to get even more expensive before they reprint them. And these are the only missings that I think are fair to bring up into the set, and it doesn't cloud it. It doesn't ruin it. It doesn't make it all that much worse when you have multiple $100 meta reprints and then Magia, which doesn't get credit. It does not get credit. I don't care what you say. Thanks for watching today's discussion. Gamer's Choice should have pre-sales at some point. Tier 0 I know is tomorrow, but I wanted to prioritize this over any kind of sales. I think this is a discussion worth having on this specific set, because when it comes down to it, I just don't understand my difference in Rift, because when I was saying this is a great set, people were like, say psych, this is rage bait. No, it's not rage bait. I really think this about this set. I think it's a really good one that will age well over time, most likely. But a lot of people are just saying it's the worst, and I can't fathom that as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Person. I feel like that's completely spoiled.